I'm serious. So it says you have to begin to learn to consider the words that you are going to say, because someone is watching you all the time, and you'll never know when someone else may be listening. I never will forget, years and years and years ago, I was at a fish camp. I think it's closed down now. But the waitress had filled up my glass and then proceeded to knock the entire thing off into my lap, ice and all, just down. And she was so distraught. You know, she was so distraught and about to start crying. I was too, but I was hiding it well. If you get a whole 16-ounce glass of tea dumped in your lap, that goes way on down in there. Okay, and you're going out and you don't have any change of clothing. But anyway, I just looked up at her and I said, listen, if that's the worst thing that you ever do in your life, I've got a feeling when you get to the pearly gates, they're going to let you in. Well, it was about 3 months later, there was a person came up to me. This thing had dividers, you know, with the picket fencing on top of it. I don't know who was sitting over here. She came up and told me, she said, I heard what you said to that young lady. And there was a friend of mine, we were eating lunch, and she's not a Christian, and she heard you. We need to consider what we say and what we do before we go do that. Jesus said, if you want to be great, learn to be the servant of all. So to put some actual practicalities in this, serve someone in need. Bring someone home for lunch. They may not listen. If you go out, take somebody out to lunch, invite them to your house. Do something. They may not be hungry, but they may be starved for attention or for a relationship. And maybe you can help do that. Meet physical needs with someone. Drive someone who can't drive to an appointment. Replace an appliance for someone who can't afford to purchase it. Mow someone's yard when they're sick. Do something physically for someone else. That's a good way to show your graciousness, and don't expect any monetary return. That's the reason that we do a lot of stuff with our kids, and Lori and Steve working with our children, and they take them out, and if you ever notice, they always give all the stuff, but they don't receive monetary, because we're teaching our children to think outside of themselves and to do something else for someone else without always receiving money. Got to start them early. Got to start them early. So gracious people cheerfully serve others. Now Peter, there's a verse in here that goes right along with this. 1 Peter chapter 4 says this, the end of all things is at hand. Peter believed the rapture was imminent. He believed it was right there. The disciples believed the Lord was going to be coming back just any time. And so he wrote this, but there's a sense of urgency in his voice as he's talking. He said, therefore be self-controlled and sober-minded for the sake of your prayers. That sounds like Philippians, doesn't it? Comparing that, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. And then he says, next, he says, above all, keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sins. That covers the next part of Philippians that we read. Show hospitality to one another without grumbling. As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. Whoever speaks as one who speaks oracles of God, whoever serves as one who serves by the strength that God supplies, in order that in everything God may be glorified through Jesus Christ, and to Him belong the glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. So we're doing this for other people, and we're being gracious to other people so that they will look and realize there's something different about a person that's being a Christian. Listen, all of us in here were lost and on our way to an eternity without Christ. The very fact that He loved us enough to provide us a way to spend eternity with Him should be shouting ground. Why do we walk around all down and out? You're on your way to the promised land. We should be thankful and gracious to others who don't maybe see that right at this point. So the point I want you to remember today is I am representing Jesus to the rest of the world.